As families get the backpacks, books, and new shoes ready, we've got some back-to-school tools that'll help you identify and push back against the gay agenda in the classroom. This is the Citizen Link Report. Hi, I'm Stewart Shepard, along with Candi Cushman, our education analyst. Hi, Candi.
Hi, Stewart. Good to be with you today.
It's good to have you here. If there's one characteristic trait of the gay agenda in the public school system, it's this. It's sneaky. It's usually designed to look like something else. It's disguised as something else to make it hard for parents to realize what's going on. What can parents look for? How could you help them identify what's going on in the classroom? What do they see?
Well, what you say is so true. Gay activists realize that most parents in this nation do not want this kind of teaching coming in at taxpayer expense in their public schools. So homosexual activists have become very adept at getting subtle at sneaking in these homosexuality lessons into things with innocent-sounding titles. But just to give you a really easy way to start researching what's happening in your school, just go to your school's online library catalog. Most K-12 public schools nowadays have their library catalog online, so just go to your school district's website, look for the library section, and put in some key terms in the search function, like homosexuality, gay, lesbian, gender identity, and sexual orientation are terms that are coming up a lot now too. And if you start pulling up a whole bunch of books with homosexual themes, that's a really big red flag to you, because technically the library is supposed to reflect the overall philosophy of the school and the curriculum, and it's also a place where teachers can go to pull out resources for use in their classrooms.
And it's also important, I think, teachers send a lot of things home in the backpack, and as some parents go through them, some do not. Right. It's important to read what's in there and kind of look for language that might be suggestive. Often bullying is one of the ways that it's disguised. It talks about a safe schools week or, or a bullying seminar. Well,
we've seen teachers giving books to children in the name of diversity lessons, and let me just mention that the gay activists have become very adept at using fun, engaging images and cute little pictures of furry animals to capture children's imagination and familiarize them with the whole idea of same-sex parenting and gay marriage. And some titles to look for are And Tango Makes Three, about two male penguins who supposedly fall in love with each other and hatch a chick.
Yeah.
At the middle school and high school levels, the titles start getting more sexually graphic. There is a recommended book list from a homosexual advocacy group named GLSEN, the Gay, Lesbian, and Straight Education Network.
Right.
They have a list of books that they recommend for kids as young as 7th grade. And just to give you one idea of a book that's on that list, one called Queer 13, which is, you know, I hate to just even have to discuss this, but I really want parents to know what's out there and what could be in your kids' schools. And there's a book called Queer 13, and it gives very graphic depictions of a 7th grader having interactions with an older man. Is this the kind of thing you want your 7th grader to be accosted with? But the good news is we want to equip you as parents, and you can actually find a list of these book titles that you should be concerned about on truetolerance.org. And just type some of those book titles in your library system and see if they're in there.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about that website coming up in just a bit. I imagine some people are saying, you know, my school is safe. This is something that happens elsewhere. I just don't believe this happens here. Describe some examples of what parents have faced in their schools.
Well, I recently talked to some parents in Illinois, and they got this invitation from their parent-teacher organization, and it invited them to go to this session on a welcoming, safe schools program. That sounded really good.
Yeah.
But when they started looking into it, they found that this program was being used to introduce things like a video called That's a Family that introduced elementary kids to images of same-sex couples, that this is normal and worthy of being embraced. And also some of those same books that I mentioned, And Tango Makes Three. And so this was all being labeled as welcoming and safe schools. But what those parents realized is that it wasn't so welcoming and safe for parents of faith and students from homes with Christian values.
And that's the real key to this whole thing. There's a lot of talk about tolerance. We need to be accepting and embracing and tolerant. But there's not a whole lot of tolerance or embracing or acceptance of Christian values and the families that want their children raised with Christian values.
And you know what is so amazing about this so-called Safe and Welcoming Schools program that these Illinois moms found out about is that they actually found out that the training materials had a list of perceived obstacles that the group doing the training, which by the way was a front group for the gay activist group GLSEN, that group doing the training listed as obstacles family values and faith systems. And so, you know, the mom told me, well, that didn't make me feel very safe or welcomed into my school because my value system was listed as an, quote, obstacle.
There's also been an effort to federalize this issue, to do it from the top down, if you will, from the capital out to the local school districts. Tell us what's happening there.
Well, what's happening is, well, the good news is that parents are rising up and objecting to this. And I've been talking to parents that have mobilized in their communities and succeeded in resisting this agenda. But now the gay activists are looking for a shortcut around those parents. And they want to federalize this issue. So that would take it completely out of the hands of the parents and local school boards. And one way they're trying to do this is by introducing a measure called the Safe Schools Improvement Act in the U.S. House and Senate.
Yeah.
And if this passed, it would basically require most public schools in the nation to have special protections for homosexual categories like sexual orientation and gender identity. And while that might sound really nice on the surface, parents need to realize that if this law gets passed, it's going to be used to mandate things like homosexuality teaching for kindergartners, so-called diversity training, things like that. And not only that, but guess who will implement this legislation? It will be our Safe Schools czar, Kevin Jennings.
Who happens to be.
Yeah, who is the founder of GLSEN, the Gay, Lesbian, Straight Education Network. So I don't think this will be neutrally applied. So that's what's going on at the federal level.
And so much of this, you've talked about the word bullying and safe schools in the course of this. The bullying is always defined as the person being bullied, and they want to work into that list of who gets bullied, the idea of gender identity and sexual orientation. You have a different take on how bullying rules for schools ought to be implemented. Describe that.
Well, the problem with these politicized bullying policies is they really put the focus in the wrong place because they're focusing on how the victim identifies, on the characteristics of the victim. But the focus should be on the wrong actions of the bullies.
Absolutely. Bullying
is wrong no matter why you do it or what the victim is like or how they identify. And really, the real view that informs our viewpoint here at Focus is that all human beings are created by God. And so every human being has innate worth and dignity, and they deserve to be protected for that reason, not because of the political subgroup they identify with.
All right. Now, you've set up a website where people can pick up a lot of information and a lot of resources that will help them with this. Tell us about TrueTolerance.org.
Yes, well, we created TrueTolerance.org to empower you as parents and guardians of children. If you're trying to protect their innocence, this website is designed to help you do that. And what it does is help you communicate your viewpoint to school officials in a loving, reasonable, and fact-based way. And we've compiled all this information that is basically packaged for you to communicate and give to your school officials. And one of the sections I'm most excited about is our new Bullying Resource Center. Just go to the top of the web page. There's a drop-down box at the top that you can look at. And on that, we've got real-life stories like these moms in Illinois that I was talking about. You can see how they handled this in their school district. And we also have a model anti-bullying policy developed by one of the most respected legal groups in the nation, Alliance Defense Fund.
Yeah.
And this policy offers your school a way to protect kids in a neutral, objective way without sexualizing and politicizing the issue in all of the classrooms. And so if your school has a bad policy coming through or a bad program, you can not only counteract it, but you can offer something positive, offer a positive alternative, a good way to combat the problem. And that would be this model anti-bullying policy.
Very good. So parents don't just have to take it. There are ways to speak out and influence what's happening in the local school system.
Yeah. You acknowledge that there's a problem, bullying is wrong, but you want to promote the right solution, and it's one that's fair and neutral.
All right. Well, Candi, thank you for your work and for bringing all these insights to us. We appreciate that.
Thank you, Stewart.
And thank you for watching. You can always write to us at mail@citizenlink.com. Let us know what's happening at your school or any experiences you may have had. We'd like to hear what's going on in school systems around the country. We also encourage you to pray for everyone at your child's school, all the way from the principals and the school officials to the teachers and the support staff at the school systems. There may be very strict rules about prayer in schools, but nobody can stop you from praying for your school. And remember, stand tall and be heard.